I am Vinnie Tortorich. Folks, your good intentions have been stolen. But don't worry. I'm here to help you get them back. You may be soft and succulent at the beginning of this process, but hang in there. Before long, you will be lean and mean, guaranteed. Just like the two people on the other two mics today. I'm talking about one, Mr. Chris Shaffer, and also the beautiful Miss Anna Vocino. Yeah.
We're just starting the year off right. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, we are. It all starts with a big old bang, and then it ends up with sad trombone. And that's why we're here today. Yeah, we could have run a best of. We could have. But no, we decided to help you out. We're here today because we want you to make it through the whole year, not just the first 2 weeks. And why do I know it's 2 weeks? Because when I was in the gym business, those are the roughest 2 weeks to be in the gym. Everybody and their cousin is fumbling around trying to figure out the rowing machine and how to use an elliptical and what to do with the free weight and all the different cables, hooking them to their foot and then flying halfway up the machine is comical to watch. And then 2 weeks later, you're back to seeing the same old gym rats you saw the year before. We don't want that to happen. We want you to use that membership. And when I say we, I brought two of my favorite people in here. First one, Mr. Chris Shaffer, and two, the beautiful Miss Anna Vocino. Yeah. Welcome, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Anna. Chris?
Alive in 25.
Yeah, we are alive.
Was that just the goal, Anna? You're like, if I can just make it.
If I could just make it to one more year.
Anna's been holstering that for like 3 weeks. Alive in 25.
Alive? No, I actually just thought of it. Please give me some credit for being the improviser that I am. That's the best thing I can think of, but that's it.
By the way, in only 14 days from today, I will be with Anna somewhere in Washington, D.C. doing something.
Right. Bold Forks Books, January 15th.
Where? Give it to us again.
Bold Forks Books.
It's
a cookbook bookstore.
It's a bookstore.
I would not have guessed that by the name.
Yeah.
I think it's a cookbook bookstore. Maybe it's a regular bookstore. We'll find out.
We're going to all be there.
That's the exciting thing about this trip. We don't know where we're going. We're just going to be there.
We know at the very least they have one cookbook, and it's probably the cookbook that matters the most.
Definitely. Definitely. Thank you for saying that.
There will be a party on the 15th at Bold Forks Books.
At 7 p.m.
At 7 p.m.
That's right.
In D.C.
That's right.
If you're not there, you're nothing. You got to be there, folks. Get there.
I don't see why, with the world of Amtrak, why somebody from Boston or even Maine wouldn't be on a train down to see us in Washington, D.C. Why somebody at Terminus Station in Atlanta wouldn't be on that train to come up to see us in D.C.
Anna, I'm going to go as far as to say if you're in Maine in mid-January, you want to go anywhere south.
Yeah, D.C. is going to be positively balmy compared to Maine.
Anna's already given me a song for the end of this show. There it is.
Good. I hope it involves trains. I hope it's a midnight train to Georgia.
You're something else, Miss Anna.
Okay.
Something else.
Okay. Okay.
You know the impetus of that song. You know who came up with the title?
No.
One Miss Farrah Fawcett.
Girl?
Yep. She was her career wasn't working out the way she wanted it to. And she was from Texas. And her relationship with I can't remember, she was dating someone famous at the time. And a music producer who was working on something with her then boyfriend or something, I don't know the whole story, decided, called and was talking to Farrah and said, so Farrah, we're going to see you over the holidays, right? And she was like, nope, I'm heading out on a midnight plane to Houston. And that was the original. It was Midnight Plane to Houston. That sounds like the beginning of a song.
Mm-hmm.
By the time Gladys Knight got a hold to it, it was Midnight Train to Georgia.
It sounds much more poetic.
Yeah. And you know what? The music arrangement on that song is one of my favorites of all time. So yes, we will be ending the show on that.
So did I guess correctly?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, good. Thank you. Listen, I got to take these wins where I can. It's only the first day of 2025 and I need a victory. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And look, Anna and I have committed to every Monday show. We decided that we have so much new audience coming in all the time. Sometimes people will say, hey, you guys kind of crapped your way through half a show telling jokes. And we're not going to stop doing that kind of thing. But we're going to make sure that every show is chock full. Remember when everything was chock full of everything on television?
Chock full of nuts is that heavenly coffee.
Yeah.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Chock full of nuts was one of the coffees.
Wasn't that the song? Did I remember that correctly?
I think you did.
Oh, yes. That does not make the count.
You guys, I can't remember what I'm supposed to get at the grocery store, but I remember a jingle to a commercial from 1979.
Yeah,
when I was 6
at
years
least,
old.
maybe even younger than that. Here's the deal. We're going to be doing more on the Monday show. Chris has been a mainstay on the Wednesday show, and people seem to like him.
Whether he likes it or not.
And Anna, he's very cheap. I paying for other things.
I prefer inexpensive.
Yeah, cheap. And
cheap
then,
makes me feel like I bathe in a gas station.
Like bargain
bathroom.
bin cheap, or like how cheap are we talking?
Are we talking Target or Walmart or Kmart?
It's working through his other salary. And here's the best part. Chris and I happened upon something for the Friday show. Now, I'm going to keep bringing on the luminaries because people need to hear the hits.
For sure.
But the one thing people kept saying after I cut out the Saturday show, because we were doing too many shows, people couldn't keep up. I kept hearing from, I listened to what people tell me on consults and everything else. And they were like, man, the thing that got me grooving here was you were talking to this guy or this woman on the Saturday show, and it sounded exactly like my problem. And that was the person I figured if they could do it, I could do it. Right. So I was like, God, I got to bring those Saturday shows back, but I don't want to add a show. And then we figured, because we do the VIP group and people come in and they talk to us. And I said to Chris, that's it. Let's do a call-in show on Friday. It's kind of like the VIP. We just have people talk on the air. And that's gotten very popular. And we've done 2 or 3 of them and people like them. So, we're changing things up a bit in the new year so we could keep bringing you guys fresh content that's going to keep you motivated. But at the end of the day, I want your whole year to be like the theme song from Rocky and not the sad trombone.
I always say if we could bottle up this energy right now, which you can, it doesn't, I don't know why we came up with like New Year's is this arbitrary time to recommit to yourself and your health. It's like you can do that every day. We just tend to really get on this. I think it's because we have that quiet time. My favorite week of the year is the week between Christmas and New Year's because no one's bothering me with work stuff and I can sit and focus on what I want to do and what I want to achieve, and kind of set the pace. But really you can do that at any time. And in order for it to work and for it to stick, you have to keep recommitting.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't just do it for 2 weeks and then you achieve your final form. That just doesn't happen.
Look, I think I mentioned, my new goal in 2025 is to put on more muscle at 62 years old. And I want to prove that at 62 years old, I can put on more muscle without taking any HRT, any kind of hormones or anything else, no exogenous hormones. I want to prove to the world, because I've proven to myself and to the world that I can stay aerobically fit like nobody's business, right? If you told me I had to go do a 24-hour ultra and I had 4 or 5 months to get ready, I could do it. From where I am right now, I can get into that kind of shape if I spent that kind of time doing aerobics.
And let me be clear, you just said 24-hour ultra. You're not talking about a marathon. You're talking about that would be what, 2-3 marathons in one day?
Well, yeah, I would do it on the bike because...
you do it on the bike. Okay, I was thinking running.
To ride a bike for 24 hours, if I had to do it, I could probably, if I started on today, January 1st, by May, what is that? Let's call it the middle of May. I can
4.5 months.
Do it 24. I know I could get into that kind of shape because I know how to do it. I know how, I know where my fitness is right now, and I could do it. I don't want to do that anymore, right? I don't want to just go out and it's selfish. I have a wife, I have a family, I'm running a business. Chris and I have taken over the business and we're running it. It's spinning like a top at this point, and hopefully the customers will see that as we get down the road. Remind me, Chris, I want to ask you a question about that on the air. I want to ask you a question about the business on the air. And, but I want something different. When I look back, everyone likes to keep putting the picture of me with a conch shell in front of me in my face all the time. And although I'm lean and I have ripped abs and all that, I don't have those shoulders anymore. I don't have that chest anymore. You could see most of the bones in my back most of the time because I lost a lot of muscle when for those 20 years when I couldn't do any upper body work because of my shoulder. But that shoulder's been fixed now for 10 years, and I've been working out for 10 years. But my strength training has been just to keep general strength in place. My wake-up call, as most people who follow may know, was during my cancer scare. I had to go through chemo again. And Chris knows this. I got on the floor one day, and I wanted to do 10 push-ups. And when I got to the third one, my goal quickly became 5. And I didn't get the 5th one.
Yeah.
I got up on the 4th one. I went down on the 5th one, and I didn't come up. And that's how weak chemo can make you, and cancer and everything else. And I made a commitment that day that I'm going to start working. I actually did a video and put it, I think I was up to maybe 8 or 10 when I put the video on my VIP group, because I wanted to be I needed to be accountable to someone and to something. So that's what I did. And then I started, you can see the barbell behind me. It's right there. That barbell sits there because I'll pull my bench out and put it under that barbell. And at first, I could barely do the 45-pound bar 8 or 10 times. And then I was putting 5s on the ends and then hanging 10s on the ends. And I'm here to tell you, here we are just a few months later, and my top set in the gym, I had, what's a plate plus a 25? That's 185.
Wow.
Repping with 185. Now, that's not any kind of great shakes, right? But that's not pushing the bar up 8 times and hoping you make it to the 8th one, right? I've come a long way in a few months, and I'm going to keep moving. And I'm going to show the world that you can do all of this stuff without taking exogenous hormones, right? And I'm not some kind of genetic freak. My hormones are comically low. Comically. But that's my goal for the new year, not to do that at least 1 hour of aerobics every day, although I'm going to keep up with my aerobics because myself, along with my buddy Coddington,
it's the billionaire Don Coddington's Friday.
We're going to probably go climb something this summer.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know where we're going to go, but we're going to go climb something. And I need to stay in shape for that. So those are my fitness goals. And every other goal is to just live another year cancer-free. So that's mine. I say we do ladies first, Chris. So let's hear what Anna's goals are. Anna, do you have any?
I do. Listen, we're obviously recording this early, so I'm going to sit down and hash some more things out. My number one business goal is to grow Eat Happy Kitchen. And especially, because we're fundraising right now and putting everybody's investment dollars to work to get this business to the next level. I don't know if I will have made the retail announcement yet, but it's very exciting and things are happening and it's exploding in a great way. And it takes a lot of time. And I have the personality type that when that happens, I'll sacrifice going on my hike or I'll sacrifice lifting my weights. So what I want to do is figure out a life where I integrate the exercising with the busyness. And so that means for me, it's a recommitment to strength training. And because I was doing at least 90 minutes of hiking every single day. And now it's become 45 minutes about 4 days a week. You know what I'm saying? And I don't like it. I feel it take a toll on me mentally. And this business is too stressful for me to not have an outlet about it. And I like Vinnie. I like watching Vinnie because Vinnie schedules it into his day. He makes sure that he does it. And I don't think I'm great at that. I somehow have convinced myself that it's more important for me to get the work email done than to take care of my body first. And I would like to recommit to that. I got to say, I know this is a podcast that's mostly about eating. I don't have a problem with that. My NSNG is pretty dialed in. Like I got to say, after all these years, that's a non-negotiable for me. And that's just because when I go off plan, and you guys will think this sounds crazy, but it'll happen eventually. When you go off plan, you'll be in so much pain, or you'll feel sick, or you won't sleep, or you'll have upset stomach, or whatever the thing that happens with your body will be worse than saying no to the thing in the moment. You know what I mean? You'll just start to choose NSNG and it'll just become normal, and it won't. So that to me is that's not a sticking point for me. I like helping other people through their sticking points, but that's not a sticking point. The thing that's coming up for me is I ain't getting any younger. And if I'm going to be a weak old lady, I'm not going to be around to grow this business.
Exactly. So, Anna, you just reminded me of an ad that was around back in I want to say 77 or 78. I'm trying to remember I can always put it together in my head based on high school. But you reminded me of that ad. And, back in those days, this is what women were coming into their own. They were working more. They had jobs and kids, and they were married. They were married and the whole thing, and they were really bringing it home. And this ad for this perfume was very popular. I'll play it right here.
Give her Anjali, the 8-hour perfume for the 24-hour woman.
I'd rather she smells like bacon.
Yeah, it's like, give her Anjali.
You can bring home the bacon if you smell like bacon.
Great.
I'm good with both of those things.
Wait a minute. You're bringing over the bacon. You're frying up in the pan. You have a cologne that can make it 24 hours, and all this kind of stuff.
No, the woman's 24 hours. The cologne's only 8 hours.
Yeah, but here's the deal.
That's just how you sell 3 times as much.
Exactly. Put it on 3 times a day.
If you can make your own money, why can't you stop at the drugstore and pick up your own Anjali?
I know. But here's the thing. I hear that, and as a voiceover talent, I go, of course they have a male voiceover saying, buy her this perfume. I'm like, well, if she's so independent, can't she just get it for herself?
It's right next to the oil funnels at Bob's Quickie Mart.
Here, let's hear this again. I love this commercial. You ready?
Anjali.
You forget you're a man. Give her Anjali, the 8-hour perfume for the 24-hour woman.
I can work till 5 o'clock. Come home and read your tickety-tock.
Tonight I'm going to cook for the kids.
And if it's loving you, well, I can kiss you.
He is not.
Because she ran out of her 8 hours of perfume and doesn't want to be around her.
He's not cooking dinner for the kids.
I want to know what she smells like.
Tonight I'll cook dinner for the kids. No, you won't.
Yeah. Okay, that breaks my advertising brain. The 8-hour
so much
perfume for the
happening with that.
24-hour woman.
Yeah.
What about the other 16 hours?
She
That
smells
sounds like somebody who was like Mad Men wasted on 3 old fashions at lunch and wrote that and thought that was so clever. And they're like, just put it in.
Having worked at an agency. Yeah.
That's probably right.
If anyone wants to know when cocaine was prevalent in advertising, it was right before this ad came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. They thought this was a great. And by the way, I could have sung that whole song for you without playing it. That's how often this thing was played when I was a kid. Right? It was around the clock. Because back then we had 3 channels, and every kid knew the Anjali commercial, and we all knew the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat.
The agony of defeat.
The human drama of athletic competition. we all knew
That
these.
was when ABC Worldwide of Sports was coming on. That was exciting.
Yeah.
That meant you were going to watch something good. And also on the Sunday night ABC Disney thing, when that came on, you're like, great.
Yeah. And
I hope
we
it's not
all
that
knew-
dumb live action Disney bullshit. I hope it's animated. That's as a kid, you're thinking that. I don't want to see Herbie
exactly.
the Love Bug. I want to see animation.
Oh, wait a minute. I was a Herbie the Love Bug fan. Yeah.
All right. Well, there had to be some.
Vinny owns the Lindsay Lohan version. Don't let him.
He has it on Blu-ray. He watches it.
He doesn't have a Blu-ray player, but he has that on
He still
Blu-ray.
has a Blu-ray version.
I have it on Betamax. And, one of my first favorite Hallmark movies, you're going to have to look this up. There was a movie called The Littlest Angel.
Oh, I remember that one.
And this kid dies, right? In the opening scene, the kid dies and then he becomes an angel. That was my first Hallmark experience. And here I am years later, still watching Hallmark.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So,
Chris, what are your New Year's goals for fitness?
Chris is pulling something up. Yeah.
There you go, man.
By the way, I'm going to tell you a story about that kid. He was the kid that he was one of the twins in the show Family Affair. He had a bit of a speech impediment. And one of my clients, I can't say what the client's name was one of the head muckety mucks at CBS. Like literally right on. Maybe. No, it was a female. It was a female that the only person she answered to
was Les
Moonves, which lets you know how high up the chain she was. As a matter of fact, when I would go visit her in her office, I would walk in and she would press a button and the door would slam behind me. That's when you know you're in the muckety muck's office.
Damn.
Yeah.
Just be glad she never pressed the other button.
The
Lauer button.
No, that's either the trap door or the Doberman button.
This is at CBS, Chris. She wasn't in her house. Calm down.
Definitely trap door. All right.
Yeah. Stand on that visqueen over there.
Yes,
yeah.
Please stand exactly in the center of that rug, sir.
Yeah. So she told me one day that her computer went down or whatever, and the guy underneath her desk fixing it was that kid who's now a grown man.
Oh. Okay.
And Anna knows this about Hollywood. He's underneath the desk fixing her computer while she's trying to work. So she's like working on the other side of the desk, and he's pitching her a program.
Got to. This is his chance.
Yeah, he's in there.
Take the shot, bro.
And he's pitching while he's trying to fix the server. Can you imagine if people, when you tell this to people outside of Hollywood, because people would always tell me whenever I go home to Downsville, hey, Vinny, listen, I got a great idea. I say, oh boy, here we go. Now let's say the guy worked down at the fish market. He's like, okay, what's your idea? Okay, it's a sitcom set in the fish market. And I could tell you all the funny things that happen in the fish market.
So funny. It's so funny. That fish market's funny. You should see how funny it is.
Like there's a character that comes in, it would remind you of Norm, right? From Cheers. We got another character that would remind, like the mailman literally comes in. And it was like, okay, what do you want me to do with that? Okay, go talk to one of your fancy writers and tell them I'll split it with them. It's like, yeah, okay, that's the way it works.
This is a true story on so many levels. I've gotten
you've had that happen, right? Because your husband.
Oh my God, of course,
right?
Of course, a family member will call and be like, okay, what if it's bosom buddies, but at an old folks' home, and then they have to pretend to be old. This is a real one I got from a family member. But they have to pretend to be old folks. And I was like, great, that's funny. Write it up. And they're like, no, you're the writer. You write it up. I'm like, I'm not writing that.
No, this is not just LA, though. That's the entire state of California. Just the further north you get, it's like Uber, but for pets.
But
yeah.
So it's an app. It's an app pitch. And they're like, you should do that app. You know how easy it is to make an app that sweeps the nation. Just you do it. You just give me some proceeds.
That's when I actually learned a couple $1 billion in seed capital.
Yeah, exactly. This is when I learned very early on in entertainment that ideas are a dime a dozen. Don't be afraid to kill off. It's all execution, which brings me back to New Year's. Right. What are we going to execute? What's your idea that you are going to see to manifestation this new year?
Look at that segue. It's almost like she does this professionally.
Mm.
Good Lord. There's a couple things. So Vinny knows this. Not necessarily the goal side of this, but theoretically, I'm getting married this year.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Ask her why.
We want to know things that were your idea, Chris.
Well, so the idea behind that is I would, I'm fairly physically fit, but ideally I'd like to be in the best shape of my life for that. So looking back at the past, that means I'm probably somewhere between now and the fall going to need to put on a couple pounds of muscle. So somewhere between 8 and 10 pounds of lean body mass, which just means getting to the gym a little bit more frequently. And Anna, to your point, it's very easy, especially, 2024 with all of the craziness that Vinny and I dealt with. It's very easy to put that to the side. And that to me led to my other fitness sided goal, which is 10 before 10. And what I have noticed over the years is if I can get in my 10,000 steps, right? Totally arbitrary number, but if I can get that morning walk in, and my morning walk almost ends up always being right around that mark, somewhere between 9 and 11. And I have the luxury of walking into town, right? I go to the butcher shop, do some of those kinds of things, and then walk back up a big old mountain. So I get some decent cardio, but it's really just the movement side of that. I'm not necessarily in zone 2 for most of that, but it's a nice stroll plus a couple nice little bursts in zone 2. And maybe potentially zone 3 as I'm walking up the first hill out of my house. And even though I do that every day, it still crushes me on a daily basis. But being 1.5 miles in the air, I think plays a little bit of a role in that as well. And so having those two things, I think makes a big difference. And if I've noticed, Anna, if I can get that in before 10 o'clock in the morning, then the rest of the day goes a lot easier because you don't have the guilt of, hey, now it's 10 o'clock. Crap. That means I have to do this before noon because I have a meeting at noon. Oh my God, something's on fire, literally or figuratively in all of our cases.
Right.
And okay, now it's noon. The next window that I have to do something is 2:30. Okay, well, right now on the East Coast, it's like dark at 3. Right?
Yeah,
so
totally.
If you're on the East Coast, that becomes a problem at certain points of the year. And then you don't want to go outside and get that activity. And are you going to get on the treadmill? And if you remove that from the equation, it makes a big difference. It removes the guilt of, if I get that in, then at least I know the lowest common denominator, the lowest base level is already covered. Does that make sense? Yeah. And if whatever else I get in, even if it's just squeezing in a few sets of push-ups between meetings or whatever, then that's okay. If I don't make it to the gym that day, if I can make it to the gym that day, awesome. But at least I've gotten something done from a physical fitness level, and it's done before 10 o'clock, before anything really is going to be, a critical pressing issue. And I fall victim to the same thing you do. I check email, we all know, don't look at your phone first thing in the morning. Guess what we all do? Immediately.
I don't know who these rock stars are who just don't look at their phones. They just get up, and what do? How do you fill your time?
And I will say voice to text will become your friend with that. You can put out some of those fires on the move if that's something that's useful to you. But getting that in first thing in the morning, I've noticed makes a huge difference for me. So that's something I'd like to do. I'm not going to say every day, but 5 days a week, just to make sure that I have that base level of fitness in.
Yeah. Getting it in early and often is kind of the thing it's what I try to do. But as you know, sometimes we, as you just said, you and I, we wake and bake. Like I have it in my schedule to do something at 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Vinny is the only person in the world that says wake and bake and means actually baking something, like being productive, versus waking up and getting baked.
Maybe we come up with a different phrase that doesn't mean waking up and smoking pot.
I get it. And I get that that's the term, but sometimes, we'll wake up to, just pandemonium, and it's like, it's got to be handled. And then Serena will explain to me, this needs to be handled, that needs to be handled. And before I know it, I'm looking at other spots in my day. Okay, I have 3 phone calls, and then I have a podcast coming up. When can I get on that equipment behind me? Or can I at least get on a bike or a spinner or a rowing machine for 45 minutes in between this, or, what can I do? Right. And then, but it takes that kind of commitment of what can I, and look, I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes it's 8:00 at night and I'm going upstairs to throw on some gym clothes, and Serena's looking at me going, Serena's winding down, brushing her teeth and this kind of thing, getting ready for bed. And she's like, I can't believe you're going to do this. It's like, that's the commitment. And I don't say that to her because that doesn't sound sexy. I'll just go, I'm just going to go fake it for a minute, honey. I'll just go, because I don't want her to think I'm more of a freak than I am. But sometimes, folks, you got to become freakish in what you want to make happen, right? Anyone, and we were just talking about Hollywood a minute ago, anyone who wants to make it, you literally, if you want to be extraordinary, you have to be extraordinary. It's right there in the term. You have to do things that other people just won't do, right? We talked about it, I think, on a Wednesday podcast a few weeks ago, and people go, it's not fair. When I go to the coffee shop, everyone else is enjoying a croissant or a cookie or whatever, and it's not fair. It's like, listen, yeah, it is not fair, but you're 500 pounds, you have type 2 diabetes, you have sleep apnea, you have fatty liver disease. You're metabolically broken. You came to me, you want to be fixed. Fair took a hike. Sorry.
Right. Fairness
took a hike. You don't get fair. As someone told me when I was in college, and one day I walked in and I said, it was my superior. I was the assistant strength coach at Tulane. It's like, it's not fair. Everyone gets to go on spring break and I got to be here for another 3 days. And he goes, Vinnie, you better wake up because there is nothing in life that's fair. And I took that to heart. I went, you know what? He's right. What's fair, right? I want to get somewhere in this career. I'm going to stay here and do this, right? It's like that with everything. If you're sitting there going, it's not fair, it's not fair, it's not fair, boo fucking who, man. If that's where you are, you're going to have a real problem.
Yeah, I think anytime. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I can call the wambulance for you. And
oh my.
What's the old
joke? I'm glad I
tiniest
didn't interrupt
violin.
you for that. Yeah.
But listen, that's the deal. You want to hop in a ambulance and get hauled off into obscurity? I can do that because that's where you're going to end up. Right? You have choices.
I think, listen, I will say, most of the time when I receive an upset Carter letter, whether it's a comment on a YouTube or an email or a review, when I get to talk to somebody, it always without fail is somebody who's upset because the doctor just told them they can't have the foods that they love to eat, whether it's cut out your sugars, cut out your dairy, cut out whatever it is. And they find, one of my cookbooks or whatever. And they're like, well, I looked through the book and there's a thing in there and, whatever it is. And I generally talk to them with compassion because I get that the temper tantrum is a very real thing. And it could be you hear this episode, or maybe one of the episodes in the next week or so, and you're like, you're pumped up, you're ready to do this. But then you're going to go through a temper tantrum phase. And that's normal because you have to kind of grieve the loss of whatever it was that you used that food to medicate within yourself is gone. It's done. And you can't do it anymore. And it sucks, but that's just the truth of it.
The other side of that, there's
Chris, let's take a quick break and we'll be back right after this with Chris, who was getting ready to say something and we had to break for a break.
And we're back.
Yeah.
I think the other side of that, Anna, you brought up something, which is you hit a frustration or you realize that you were masking something. I think the other side of that is the failure side of that, right? And Vinny, you and I in the past have talked about failure quotient, right? How much you're willing to fail. And I think you played the perfect song at the beginning of that because the story about Rocky, at least the first movie, is not about a winner. Right? Like,
right.
Dude loses after running 30.5 miles through Philadelphia, being chased by small children for no reason.
Yeah.
And yet he still gets back up. right? And I think one of the things that happens, and you mentioned a couple minutes ago, the first 2 weeks of the year is really where people start to have that problem, right? The first week you're really fired up, and then life happens. And like we were just talking about, Anna, you know, okay, something becomes more important, and you push that goal out, or you push that thing off, and you just start to accept it as a failure, and you feel personally like a failure because of that. And I think we have to talk about forgiveness. I know New Year's is not about forgiveness, but it should be. And not about forgiving other people necessarily, but forgiving yourself for letting those things get in the way. And if you talk to an addict, somebody that's gone to an AA meeting or whatever else, they have an inherent understanding that this is not a smooth road, right? You don't go to one AA meeting and never want to touch alcohol again. That's not how that works, right? That's why there's a support group. And yet for like the health and fitness stuff, we're like, oh my God, I ate pizza. Cool. Now get back on track.
Yeah.
Right. And I think
and that's the tough part, Chris. That's the really difficult part. You know, as long as they can stay clean, they'll stay clean. But we live in a world with obstacles. And by the way, Rocky did win, right? Because if you paid attention to the movie, he was a stooge. You know, they were looking for a stooge, and they found him. You know, they found a tomato can, as it's called in boxing. You know, just somebody for this champion to beat up on. And he knew that. He knew what he was. You know, the character was supposed to be this kind of dumb, I don't really know what I am. He knew what he was. And in his own reflection, and we all reflect, he says, you know, he's praying, you know, he's saying, please don't let me embarrass myself. Please let me go the distance. The song, there's a song that, you know, the final bell song is called Going the Distance. And that's all he's asking for. That's the victory. The victory is, I've been a loser my entire life. You know, I'm breaking people's knuckles, and I'm working on the docks, and I have nowhere to go. And I'm in, you know, bum F Philadelphia. I need something here. Don't let me embarrass myself in front of the world. And I think so many times in life, you know, we get knocked down, and Rocky gets knocked down a lot. The metaphors in that movie, you know, it's not about anything other than all of the metaphors. And most of it happens at the end of the movie when they're in the ring, right? He's getting the crap beaten out of him, and he's getting knocked down. And he keeps telling Mickey and everyone else, do not throw the towel in. Do not do this. I need to prove to myself that I can go the distance, that I can be here toe to toe with the greatest boxer of all time at the end. Right? And that's what he did. That's what he wanted to do. And that's what he did. And that's why that character is so beloved in history, because we all have that song in our heads. We all have that theme. We all have a little bit of Rocky in us as Americans and as of people just around the world. We all just want to go the distance, right? So the victory is not in, that's why people always say, you know, I can't wait to lose the 100 pounds. It's like, what are you going to do? Go back to what you were doing before? You went the distance. Now keep going.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do here.
There's never going to be a time when you don't have a goal to set. You know what I mean? There's always room for improvement until you die and you shed the meat suit, and then you're done.
And theoretically, that's
and
also
then I'll be so thin. Oh my God.
You're going to be hot.
Yeah, I will be. I'm going to be a hot
about,
soul.
It's not just about the goal. It's about being able to get there, right? And I think Hootie said it best, right? Not as Hootie, but as Darius Rucker, right? You got to live and you learn. You got to crash and burn. That's part of the failure is part of the process. And I think all too often we get caught up in the failure. We get caught up in the, I just got knocked down. I can't see out of my left eye, throw the towel in, versus the Rocky mentality of, I don't care if I can see, I can still swing, and I kind of know where the dude is, right? If we can get back up, and I feel like I'm going full Southern preacher, you got to get back up, right? Like that's realistically where it is. And I think the reason so many people give up is they have that first crash and burn moment, right? They have that first day that they don't get their 10 before 10, or that they miss the gym, or that they get consumed by those business emails, and they don't give themselves that second or third or fourth chance. And so that, to me, I think is a goal that everybody can set this year, no matter what your other resolution is that you're just going to give yourself that opportunity, right?
And by the way, to bring this full circle, and we'll shut this down because we're going to play the Gladys Knight song at the end that was inspired by one Miss Farrah Fawcett. Farrah Fawcett was probably the biggest sex symbol the world had ever known in the 70s, the 80s. Before Jennifer Aniston with the hairstyle and the whole thing. The woman had a poster that just went viral. If something can go viral, I had the poster in my bedroom. Every kid had the poster in their bedroom. She was huge. Farrah Fawcett left Charlie's Angels after like 1 or 2 seasons. Now, we're talking about a world where when you get a character on television, Anna will tell you, you stick with that thing.
Yeah, never leave a hit show.
Yeah, you beat it into the ground. You never leave a hit show. But she wanted to be more than just a pretty face. And she went on to do movies where she didn't look so pretty, right? She did movies where she looked beat up and this and that. She wanted to show the world that she wasn't just some glamour beauty that had no substance, right? She was a real person, this Texas woman who wanted to really do it. And the beauty of what Farrah Fawcett did, and most people don't know this, when she got anal cancer, that's what she had. She died of anal cancer. I mean, it spread throughout her body. And she had friends come in and she said, roll tape. People need to see, if you live with dignity, you have to die with dignity. I don't want to hide from the public now because I'm not so pretty anymore.
Right.
Roll tape. We're going to make a documentary here so that other people who are dying, maybe they won't be scared. Maybe I can do that. Come on. Who does that? I'm not able to do it. I know I couldn't do it. But she did it. She, warts and all, man, she put it out there. And, that's, you want to talk about hard-ass Americans and hard-ass people and people doing it. This woman did it until her dying day. And by the way, didn't she die on the same day as Michael Jackson or thereabouts? Is that something we can look up real quick? Chris, while you're looking that up, can you answer this question for me? No, you know what? I'm not going to ask. I don't want to go there because it'll be a longer conversation. We'll bring it up on a different show. We're going to find out if Farrah Fawcett died on the same day as Michael Jackson. I think Mother Teresa also.
June 25th, 2009.
Did Mother Teresa die around that time too? Did Michael Jackson die on the same day?
Yes.
Yeah. You see, I'm a walking Google. And I think Mother Teresa died a day or two beforehand.
September 5th, 1997. So
I was going to say, I thought Mother Teresa died a long time ago.
Okay, wait, someone else died. There was a third person who died right around that. It was one of the threes where 3 people died. I thought it was Mother Teresa. Might have been a pope or something.
That's probably Pope John Paul, right?
No, I don't think he died. Anyway, folks.
Someone will figure it out and they'll write you on the internet and it'll probably be Kurt Lapierre.
Yeah.
Yes, everyone is screaming.
All right.
Everyone's screaming who it is.
You can find me and Chris every Wednesday on this show. Happy New Year's, everyone. Anna Vocino has Eat Happy Kitchen. She's got Eat Happy Italian is the new book that's out there. You can find her. People are sending me text and emails and X's and everything else showing me Anna's stuff on the shelves. The Eat Happy Kitchen sauces.
We're getting there.
All the gravies. Anna's becoming a big thing. Anna, Anna.
I'm trying to make the company a big thing.
You know what? I'm so proud of you. You need to talk to Chris and teach him what you're doing so we could do some of that.
I don't know if you want to do it. It's a royal pain in the ass, but of course
they love you and they hate us.
Chris is helping me.
I know. We're all helping each other. And
we are.
So go check out everything Anna Vocino is doing. Anna, do you have, on the 15th, January 15th, we're going to be at something in Fork.
Bold Forks Books. By the way, they just emailed me the link for tickets. So it's $10 for a ticket, $30 if you want to get a signed book. So,
and if you want to get my signature, it's free.
It's free. Oh my God. Can you imagine getting both signatures on one book?
That's right.
I'm going to let Vinnie sign my book.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let Anna.
They don't even have to bring a conch shell? You're going to let him sign it?
Conch shells are optional.
I've signed everything. One woman had me sign her boob, and she told me now she's going to get it tattooed. I don't know if she ever did.
I really hope she didn't.
I kind of hope she did.
I know you do.
Yeah.
Vinnie, before we go,
sorry, go ahead.
because I know it's going to drive you nuts. June 23rd, Ed McMahon. June 25th, Farrah Fawcett, Michael Jackson. June 28th, Billy Mays. So
yeah.
What is he called? Billy, the Pizza Stone guy? No, what did he do? Pitch rags?
everything. Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
He did all those products, right? He's the product guy.
Yeah, he had like
he's not the ShamWow guy. That was a very
ShamWow
different
guy.
end of that story. But the other celebrity pitchman. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you have it, folks. Those are all the people who died right around Farrah Fawcett. By
the way, I just want everybody to know that when Billy Mays died, I went in to do a sketch for Kimmel that was Billy Mays' tombstone pizza stone.
I think Anna just dropped something.
And then
you would not have wanted that any other way, I don't think.
I don't think so. And then they wound up airing it. But my friend Gary, who wrote the sketch, he called me. He's like, hey, just so you know, they cut your face out. So it's just like you're like hands like making the pizza. I was like, Gary, I don't care. Like, he thought I was gonna be like really upset. I was like, do you know how much shit I've been cut out of?
Yeah.
I've been cut out of so much shit.
Serena was cut out of almost she did a whole movie.
Yeah.
And they had like 3 scenes of her. And it was she played Bruce Willis's wife in Hostage.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Did the whole
You haven't been in this business, so you've been fired or cut out of something.
No, but she was in the movie in like 3 scenes, but did like a gazillion days of work, and
right.
They made it more about something else. They just changed it.
Well, hopefully she still got her residuals, because
yeah. Trust
that's
me.
the important thing. You got to. The important thing is that you get your health insurance. That's all we care about.
Trust me, we get the residuals. Good. So, on behalf of Chris Shaffer and Anna Vocino, my name is Vinnie Tortorich. Put life into living and do it with one Miss Gladys Knight and the Pips.